Yes, yes to all of this. Okay, beautiful. So I'm just doing one final check and we're going to dive in to this power hour. And let's see. Here we go. Here we go. And maybe it's not live streaming. Interesting. Where is it going? Let me see. It says it's live, but then it's not looking live in the Facebook. Oh, here it is. Okay. I guess it is working. I think things are just going a little slowly today. So there's something a little wonky happening with my tech today. Okay, there we go. All right. Thank you all for your patience. And we're going to dive in and get you some good content today. Oh, I see Simranjeet joined us. Hello, hello. And yeah, this is something that we do. We have a series called the Ultimate Media Breakthrough, where I do these live classes for our community to talk about all good things: visibility, publicity, elevation of authority, and really start giving you the understanding of why this is so important for you, your career, and your business. So let's get into the goodness. Okay. I'm going to go into screen share and rock and roll. Okay, so we already had you all introducing where you're from. If you're live or new and watching the live stream or the replay, hashtag replay in the Facebook group, let us know where you're tuning in from around the globe. We've already found out we've got people from all over in here in the Zoom room with me, and we've got representation from Melbourne, Germany, Oregon, South Carolina, the UK, San Diego, New York, Chicago, and Walla Walla, Washington. I love it. Beautiful. So this is all about mastering your inner authority, right? That's why all of you saw this, it resonated, you wanted to come out and you wanted to learn more about this from someone who is an expert in this area. And you're likely wanting to make a bigger impact in the world, to be of service with your gifts in a bigger way. And you are really interested in the idea of being a sought after expert, right? Having people come after you, whether it's clients, bookers for speaking engagements, so media wanting to interview you, publishers that maybe want to publish your story. Those are all the things that are happening for the people in my community and in my programs. And you might also just be looking for more currency, right? You have a gift, you want to monetize it, you want to have more clients or gigs, and you're looking for a way to reach more new eyeballs. So I want to invite you to stick around. As I mentioned, you're not only going to get access to a special June thing that we're doing, and we'll announce that at the end. And you're also going to get something I've never done before in all my years now that I've been doing this a few years, this online business journey, which is a sneak peek into my client portal. So anyone who's attending today or watching on the replay, this is a big, exciting moment that we're doing. Okay, so we have this concept of becoming a global phenomenon, right? And I will say in my professional career over 25 plus years, I have helped my clients get billions and billions of media impressions. And so when you think about being at the level of someone like a Sir Richard Branson, who's probably one of the most recognized people on the planet, one of the ways he's done this to raise awareness for all his passions and everything he's created in his empire, you know, now leading up to even space travel, is he always understood the power of publicity. He started as a student publisher, and he always has used publicity to raise awareness for anything he's done related to his company and baby Virgin. All right, so that's just one example of taking things to that level. So really, the power of publicity is about getting the attention of the people you want to reach. It's leading the conversation about how you want to be seen. and really how you're putting yourself out there, how you're being received and perceived in the world. Now, why is it so powerful? It's because other people and credible sources are talking about you. They're singing your praises. It's not you saying that you're great, right? And you don't have to be Richard Branson, right? This is for anybody who has a career or a business, a message, a movement, a product, a service. If you're putting something out there into the world, this is for you. This is one of my clients who is a life coach, and she was able to 10x her income using the strategies that we did with her to help elevate her profile, especially in the media. Now, this really works for just about anyone. In particular, I tend to work with a lot of creatives and consultants, entrepreneurs, purpose-driven, heart-centered creatives, coaches. You know, it's everyone from online service, business-based business owners to actors and filmmakers, spiritual practitioners. So if you identify with any of these titles, go ahead, pop in the chat so I can see who's here today. What kind of work are you doing? Like, how do you identify your own title or category? Are you a consultant? Are you a creative? Are you a business owner? Are you an entrepreneur? And I think, let's make sure everyone's on mute as well, please. Thank you. It's getting a little bit of feedback there. Let's see. We've got a transformational coach. Beautiful. Actor and entrepreneur. Yes. Coaching, consultant, speaker, entrepreneur. Great. Wonderful. Awesome. Okay. It's great to see who's here in the room, because then I know I can kind of craft what I'm talking about to make sure you feel like it applies to you. A career coach for women, a holistic wellness and transformation coach. Beautiful. Okay, keep them coming. Beautiful. I love seeing who's here. And something a lot of you have done who are in my community, if you're new and haven't yet, then I highly advise you take our visibility archetype quiz. And that you can find at shinesuperpower.com. And let's see. I think somebody, can we make sure everyone's on mute, please? I think I'm getting some feedback here. Just going to check. I'm going to mute all. And then, let's see, did that work? That might have done it. Okay. As long as you can all still hear me. Okay. You guys can hear me still? Okay, good. I've done that before where I even muted myself. Oops. That doesn't work. Okay. So yeah, so really knowing where you are on the scale of strengths and weaknesses of, you know, how you like to put yourself out there. This is going to make a big difference on the actual customized strategy and path that you have for your visibility. So we have these 4 archetypes. It would be great to know which you are. If anyone here knows which they are, feel free to add that to the chat. It's a 5-question quiz. You can take it anytime. Again, that's shinesuperpower.com. I see some people already know we've got a light walker here. Yes. Awesome. I'm a light walker too. And sometimes you'll vacillate depending on when you take the quiz. If you're, you know, things sometimes shift. But generally world changers and light walkers are more on the spectrum of being more comfortable putting themselves out there. Whereas the transformers and the protectors sometimes are a little bit more of the introverted side or less comfortable putting themselves out there. Maybe they definitely, like the protector, prefers to like write their message versus get on a stage in front of 1,000 people and speak their message. So once we know your archetype, we can certainly look at crafting more customized of a path for you. I see we've got a world changer. Yeah, a couple world changers. Okay, great. Awesome. So yeah, if you're also watching in the Facebook group, feel free to be adding this info in the chat. I always love to go look and see what people say once we get through the class. Okay, so we have, I have 3 types of people that I work with, which are beginner, intermediate, and advanced in learning their publicity and visibility. So it really is this idea that there's always a next stretch for you, whether it's your first or your next media win, right? That's what I help people do, is get to whatever their next level is. And the thing I want to say about publicity and PR is that, I feel like everyone is doing social media, and then almost everyone is forgetting about having a customized PR strategy and their PR planning. And this business success path is something that I identified with after looking over 2 decades at my clients and kind of what I would see how their success would happen. And then people that I would meet that didn't have this integrated, why they were being challenged. So if you look at where you're starting on this stairway of the success path, you've got your purpose and your niche. Then you're going to have some sort of offering or invitation, something that you're selling, or maybe it's you, it's your talent if you're a creative. And let's see. I see also, we have an AI here. I gotta love it. This is my first time having an AI attending. Dr. Catherine's autopilot. Hi, I'm an AI assistant helping Dr. Catherine Wilberg take notes for this meeting. Follow along the transcript here. You'll also be able to see screenshots of key moments, add highlights, comments, or actions. That is so interesting. This is Catherine. I have never seen someone do this. I will say, I don't know if I love that idea because this is my intellectual property. And as much as I love the idea of you taking really good notes, and of course you could do that on your own and take screen captures along the way, but to give a link to an AI that could be distributed, I think I don't love that. So I think I'm going to kindly ask Dr. Catherine to maybe not do that. If you could do it for yourself, okay, but not as a publicly shared thing. Yeah, that's great. Thank you. I see she's acknowledging that. Yeah, it just sits for personal use. Yes, not for distribution. Michael says his VA was telling him about this. Yes, it's a whole new world, you guys. The AI is coming out of our ears these days. So it is kind of that thing of like, where are the lines, right? And that's a whole other conversation in class that we probably won't get into today. It's never publicly shared. Well, I think the issue, Dr. Catherine, is you already publicly shared it to everyone who's here today. So I'm not quite sure. This is a new situation for me. So I'm not quite sure how we would change what you've already done. So yeah, she's saying she doesn't know how to turn that. Yeah, it's fine. I think we just have to roll with it this time. This is one of those things. But I would say for anyone in the future, if you are doing that, do it for yourself, right? Like it's a nice, I think, invitation to say, hey, I'm taking notes for everybody. But you have to remember that when we're doing these kind of events, like as the host and leader, like this is our intellectual property that we don't want just to be put anywhere, right? Like this is something we're doing in our community, in our group. So I appreciate you all understanding that. Beautiful. Thank you. Okay, so let's get back to the business success path. Okay, we have, if you're starting with your purpose and niche, the next thing you're going to have is what you're selling, right? Your marketable offering, whether it's programs, maybe it's your talent, maybe you're trying to get cast if you're an actor into projects, if you have an actual e-commerce, type product. So then the next step on the stair is going to be, actually, I'm going to jump up to step 4. The thing that most people are trying to do is they're trying to get to that expert status with a full slate of clients or gigs. And the problem is a lot of people are skipping this third stair. And that's having that aligned visibility with a customized PR strategy, right? So if you're skipping stair 3, that is why you might not be having step 4, right? And then the thing that I do with my PR strategy and where I take my clients is we not only go to level 4, we take you to step 5. That's where you're having that full slate of clients and gigs, and you're also going next level. You're being seen as this sought after go-to industry leader with global impact, right? So this is the big thing. If anything you take away today is that this might be the big thing that's missing in your business success path is step number 3. Something else that I love to share about is another worldwide phenomenon. We looked at Branson. This is a film that I was lucky enough to start out working on in my PR career called The Blair Witch Project. And so this is, it was a very small, low budget independent film that did become, and to this day remains, one of the most successful, profitable independent films ever made. And they did that with the power of their PR strategy, right? The whole concept behind it was around this whole idea of being found footage, like it was an actual documentary, which it wasn't, right? It was actually fabricated, but most people thought it was real, right? So in the marketing, the PR strategy behind it was we didn't tell people it was real, but we also didn't tell them that it was not real, right? So we kind of let people think what they would think. So it was never about lying to people or the public, but people kind of ran away with this idea and this story that this was actually a documentary, and that's why it caught like wildfire. And in the end, people also were shaking in their boots because it was pretty scary. So that became a worldwide phenomenon. I got a front row seat on watching that take off. And then I worked for many years with household names, with Oscar winners, Grammy winners, top, you'll see Branson down there, and Rock and Roll Hall of Famers and iconic comedians and celebrities. And I will say that over 2 decades, I really stayed behind the scenes. So there's only a handful of photos of me. Over 2 decades, I really did not want to be in the front of my business. I wanted to stay in the shadows and kept pushing my clients into the spotlight. So that was something that, I was very reluctant to move into the spotlight myself. But once and some of you heard this story, so I'll go through pretty quickly, but just so the new people know as well, it was when my grandmother passed away that I had that sort of, crisis of what am I doing with my life, and serving millionaires and billionaires really like helping change the world? And I wanted to do more. And so I went on this soul searching trip to Bali. And so that was where I had my aha moment, right? Where this is where I saw all sorts of other coaches and people on Instagram and social media. And it just, the whole online thing was like just taking off and booming. And I thought, oh, I could bring what I know to the world, to a wider global audience, and get this information into the hands of more people. So this is where I did decide to come back and start my online business. And that is exactly what I did, is I started helping people all over the world. And through my live events and classes and programs, I've been able to connect with amazing people in so many ways. And then in 2020, when the pandemic hit, it was really an all-in proposition, because that was what was happening in the world. My PR events got, wiped out on my PR agency side. And I was like, it's time to go all in. I wanted to be of service, like 3 of my 4 grandparents who enlisted in World War II, and really see what I could do to help people during a really challenging time. And I was really deciding to go all in on my purpose, right? I always say you're enlist or be drafted. You're either feeling the pull that something's pulling you into this purpose, or you're going to say, yes, I'm just going to go for it. And I'm actually, instead of being drafted or pulled into it, I'm going to enlist in it. So that's the choice that we're all making these days. And this was just from an event last month, which I threw these photos in here just to show how far I've come. This was one event. You saw that last slide, which was 20 years worth of, I had about the same amount of photos over 20 years. Now this was just one night. And so now I jump in front of the camera. I make an effort to take photos and video, and really make sure that I'm showing like how far I've come with my own inner authority of feeling more confident, stepping into the spotlight. I've had to really take my own medicine. And then that's where it's reflected in the outer authority, right? So now I have all these images that show that I walk my talk, that I'm actually doing these things, working with the media. These were, this was KTLA that came out to cover. That's me in the background there in the pink shirt. And that's me caught behind in another video clip, like working the red carpet behind John Voight. hopping on the carpet with a well-known producer, Jack Lucarelli. And this is actor Ted McGinley, who was a childhood crush of mine on Happy Days. So just, whenever I do this stuff, I always have such interesting people that I get to meet. And I'm no longer, as terrified. I will say sometimes it takes a little getting through and evolving in terms of feeling more comfortable with doing this stuff. But every time you do it, you get more comfortable. And it doesn't mean that sometimes it's not still terrifying, but it just, you build the muscles and the tools to do it without as much trepidation, I would say. So for any of you who are also kind of like me, where you are resistant or have been resistant to put yourselves out there in bigger ways, it is possible when we really step into that inner authority journey. And also when you have your strategic plan, right, that communicates you as your brand, right? You really got to be focusing on getting your message and you out there as your brand. And this is a way to get results without doing crazy stuff and dancing on, social media, having to pay for expensive Facebook ads or PR firms, costly online marketing campaigns, and no more having to just endlessly randomly post on social media. You do it with actual intention and strategy. And social media is a part of your PR plan. So the thing is, like I said, most people are doing the social media, they're forgetting the PR plan piece. So the only three ways you're going to get in front of those new sets of eyes are through these three methods, whether it's organic leads or traffic, affiliate or referral, or paid, like advertising. And so everything that I'm about is organic, right? So how are you going to get those free leads, those get in front of people in a very connected, organic way that is really, once you have the tools, I say I teach people to fish. It's just your blood, sweat, and tears. Sometimes you can do a pay to play thing, but I usually say plan A is no, just get all the free stuff you can get. There's so much at our fingertips in the world between your writing, your speaking, and the media. So, you can actually get some incredible exposure that's way better than any paid advertising could ever give you. So I say your new mantra is more results with less effort. This image is just an example of some magazines and places where I've had my clients featured over the years. And the number one key that I want you to know and leave with today is that you have press out there that are seeking you now. If you're here, you have a message or a mission or a purpose, a product, a service, something that you're putting out, your talent, that the world is waiting for, and that there are press that would want to talk to you about what you're doing. So really that's, if you take this path of elevated, publicity, you're going to get more authority, awareness, and you're going to grow your audience. And we call it free publicity, right? Because it's just, like I said, your blood, sweat, and tears of knowing how to do it. And that'll get you beyond your current network to appear in the media and get you seen as that leading, sought after, go-to expert. And guess what? When you do that, your audience not only can find you, but they can come to you pre-sold. So here's some examples of the mainstream spotlight and the media, like getting, whether it's, in newspapers or magazines or on TV news, like these are some examples that will lead you to getting those, that massive credibility where other people are singing your praises. And I have so many examples, and I'll go through some of these very quickly, but just to show, a lot of my clients have gone from local to global and received that recognition that they've been hoping to get in their careers. And someone like Laurel, who got her dream win in Variety International magazine, it was an exclusive, and also became an expert writer for Backstage, and is able to leverage those things to grow her business, her career, and her new production company. We have people like Leslie, who put out a global announcement about her TEDx talk and her new program, and was able to make a big splash with her, work that she's doing in the world to help women, empower women. And you've got this first step here, which is going to be key for, anyone who wants to go on this journey is realizing, what is your dream visibility win, right? Is it a favorite stage, a magazine, a TV, a radio show, a blog, a podcast, and thinking about it and being specific. And then also, what would be the buzz happening about you in that place, right? What are they talking about? What are they singing your praises about? And the next big piece, now I also have a background in the healing arts, so something big that I focus on with my clients is the alignment piece, where we actually make sure you're feeling into that vision so that you're embodying that frequency and living as if it has already happened, because that is what calls it in and brings the people, places, things, opportunities, experiences into your realm faster, where you can get those faster results. And I will say right now, there is a lot of quantum leaping and jumping happening in the world. There's a lot of things that are moving very quickly, so much so that in class next week for my Shine Online Mastermind, I'm going to discuss this and go deeper into this idea of quantum adapting. So 1, it's like knowing it's possible for you. 2, calling it in. 3, allowing it to happen very quickly. And how do you adapt to that, right? Our systems sometimes need a little time and support in catching up to big changes that happen very quickly. So that's a whole other bottle of wine. We also have this concept of going from overwhelmed to focus, which is what most of my clients experience, like Teresa B, who came in and wanted to get really focused, got lit up in her business for the first time in a long time. She had been so overwhelmed. But what we did is we got her a focused plan, which allowed her to get on track to reach 2 million people with her messages. So what you can really start doing, key number 2, is today, living this dream, right? This is about starting now, not waiting, right? People are waiting for you, and we've got to get you going. So we first need to quantum adapting. Yes, Catherine's asking the word I just said. Yes, quantum adapting. Because my whole mantra is like, I'm quantum leaping. I love that whole concept. And now I'm realizing, wow, I'm actually quantum adapting now because I've been doing so much quantum leaping. So yes, I think I might do a whole other thing around that. In terms of you getting to this place, right? We need to know why you're not there yet. Like, what's stopping you from getting to this vision that you have for yourself of having this elevated authority and credibility and awareness and larger audience and larger income, all those things. So there's the 2 things that I have seen. They're very common. Generally, it's one of these 2 things, is that you're waiting, right? I say that's the biggest rookie mistake, is to be waiting, thinking that this stuff is for later or for other people. And the other thing is you're actually stopping. Like, maybe you did some of this work and then you said, oh, it didn't work for me. Well, did you leverage, right? Did you keep building that snowball and, gaining momentum? Like, this is about a long game, and this is about leveraging each win into the next bigger win. And okay, so 2 reasons why you're holding yourself back. All right, so these are the other 2 things I have found with pretty much all of my clients, that most of them, 1 is very simple, right? They just don't know the steps, but it's usually one or both of these. There's usually also a combo of some sort of limited thinking or fears coming up, and sometimes it's just a belief system, right? It might just be something like, I don't like social media, right? But when you realize the social media is that path to it at your fingertips, that's free to reach the people whose lives you want to change, and you're lit up about your message and how you're putting yourself out there with that strategic plan and strategy, and lit up from that lit up place, then you might get excited about seeing, thinking like, oh, I could actually go on this social media platform and make a post that speaks exactly to that person that I know is praying for me and needs the answer that I have for them. So it's, again, really not knowing the steps, which is most people, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. There are very few people in the world doing exactly what I'm doing. I mean, you could go on Google and learn how to or YouTube and learn a press release or something, but this is the way I'm doing it is very different because of my magic, which is merging my background as a spiritual practitioner and healing practitioner with the business world and PR and strategy in only the way that I can do it, right? Like you guys, you all have your core differentiator, your magic that you bring in only the way you can do it. So now when you're doing these, holding yourself back, like how does this show up, right? It might show up in some of these very common things that you hear people talking about all the time, which is analysis paralysis, like not doing anything because there's too many decisions to make, too many possible ways to go. Perfectionism, that's a big one for my community because we're largely, high performing people, but better done than perfect. Imposter syndrome, even Michelle Obama did a whole documentary about her own imposter syndrome. Like this is a very normal, common human thing that just about everyone goes through, but who am I to do this, right? And then of course, compare and despair, like, oh, someone else is already doing it or doing it better. So if you recognize any of these things, I actually have, this is something I love for people to take a look at and actually tell me if there are any of these that resonate with you. Like, do you recognize, oh yeah, this is, I didn't realize, but yeah, I kind of think this thought a lot, right? You might not even realize you're having, and I call these your visibility blind spots, right? So if you're thinking these things or saying these things to yourself, then, this could be something that's stopping you. And I see, oh, Ben's got to go. Yeah, this, we are live streaming. So this replay will be in the Facebook group for probably just a limited time. But if you guys, anyone has to leave or wants to come back and watch it again, it will be in there, at least for the next couple days. Okay, so anyone seeing or recognizing anything here, feel free to type it in the chat, or if you're on Facebook, in below, and let me know if any of these are actually speaking to you. And just checking in with everyone. Are we tracking? How are you guys all doing? Are we kind of following along here? Are we feeling like this is landing? I always like to do a little check-in too. Marjit says most of them. So I see that you're recognizing a lot of these things. So let's all just take a deep breath into this, right? This is totally normal. Yeah. Catherine, perfectionism, overwhelm, compare and despair. Yeah. Kat, yes. Several rejected negativity haters. Yeah. These are, you guys, these are things that people have actually typed in the chat before you. So I hear this stuff on a daily basis. Yeah. Fear of saying the wrong thing. This is all totally normal. So the remedy to this is thinking a different thought, right? Realizing that you have to face that fear, you have to face that thought, you have to shift your own mindset and move through it and think differently and act differently and feel differently. And Dr. Catherine says, afraid of being removed from groups. Well, I mean, there are certain things you have to be careful of. I mean, people don't, you have to be respectful of the leaders of a group. If you're in someone else's community, you have to make sure you're following their guidelines and their terms for promo and all of that. So yeah, I mean, I think some of these things are valid thoughts and awareness, but we just want to make sure it's not to the point where it's crippling us from moving forward. So, knowing that when I do a post, a thoughtful, aligned post that respects my community's guidelines, people will love it, right? Like that's the energy and the attitude we want to have, is that shift for you to go in there with that. Beautiful. So, yeah, and there's no judgment or criticism here. This is just how it is. Like sometimes we stop ourselves. So now in relation to your visibility vision of, I was asking you earlier, you've got to, decide where you want to appear and like feel into that vision of like, what would that visibility win be? I'm just wondering where anyone here feels like they would know where they would get stuck. So take a second to just think about that. Is it just that you don't know the steps on how to get there, how to land that win, whether it's a media article or an interview or getting on a stage or getting that book published or something, that you're trying to get out there into the world, where do you think you're going to get stuck on this visibility vision? Yeah, I see some things coming through here. So yes, steps on having an outline or framework to use. So yeah, really that's one of the big ones is just the steps, like not knowing. And I've been doing this 25 plus years. So of course I know the steps. You probably have things that you know in your wheelhouse that I would have no idea, right? So that's why we come to each other for the things that we need. Dr. Catherine says, I don't know how to reach out to land it properly. Yeah, so that's, again, like, one of the steps. How do you actually land it? If it's, I'm guessing, is it like a media win, or which one were you kind of looking at, Catherine, for a visibility win? Whether it's a stage or a media op or a speaking opportunity or an editorial opportunity, something like that. So yes, knowing the steps, that's really key. And I just want to share a quick example of Giovanni, who literally broke out in hives at thinking of becoming more visible in her work and her career. And it was, even though she was an actress, it was related to the media and going bigger and putting herself out there, right? So when she, worked with me, we got her to that point of feeling very confident, putting herself out there. And, I keep hearing new news from her, like almost on a weekly basis now, of all her success. For those of you who are creatives, like her IMDb star meter is like at an all-time high right now. And everything that we've taught her to do and helped her to do with her PR has taken her career and her visibility to the next level. And also a lot of creatives are also consultants. So that's another big piece, is where I help them monetize, raise their prices, make sure they're making those money goals. And Liz was another awesome person who came into our community and within a very short time had a complete turnaround in terms of realizing that the visibility piece was the number one most important piece that she had neglected for herself. So she actually started a whole new revenue stream as a social impact coach and really started putting herself out there in a bigger way. And this is, again, about leverage, right? We talked earlier about not stopping, right? If you've done some of this work, it's about continuing to leverage the wins as you go over the long term, building this into your business on a weekly, monthly basis for years to come. And that good PR, right? It is the thing that gets you known, go from unknown to known. And that's what puts you in the position to make more money. Now, this is where we're going to take a quick peek into my portal. I have a signature system, my 6 pillars for the Shine Online Mastermind. I call it the 5 P's and the big O. So when you work with me, we look at your path, right? Like, what is your strategy going to be for your own personal customized journey? What is your positioning going to be? That's really where we get into your purpose and message clarity. And that goes into your packaging, which is then your materials and how you're putting yourself out there. And then we look at your presenting, where are you actually showing up in the world? And then we really get into, at that point, generally, this is kind of the trajectory. Sometimes it's it can be a little different in terms of depending on the person, but generally at that point, you're ready for the press. Some people hop into my container and we go right to the press because they're already ready. But generally, this is the trajectory. And then, like really learning how to get into new media, the mainstream media. Maybe you want to do a podcast tour. Maybe you want to do a radio tour. Maybe you want to be in your hometown media, or maybe there's a national show like Today's Show or GMA that you want to be on. And then that's where we leverage. So then we get to that omnipresence place where you're doing a lot of, a little bit of a lot of different things. And people start saying, oh, I think I've seen you before. Oh, I saw you over there, or I see you everywhere. Like, right? Like people start knowing who you are. And that happened to me. I use these tools for myself too. I was on a virtual stage yesterday and someone was writing in there, oh yeah, I recognize you, or I've seen you before. And I was like, that's how it works, right? When you put yourself out there a little bit of everywhere in an aligned way, you start to build that omnipresence where everyone feels like they kind of know you. And when you do this, you get that doubling of your income and audience, like clients like that I've had, like Kriya, and actually it was way more. She had one social video go to I think over 400,000 people. She went viral on TikTok. So yeah, so this stuff, I'm telling you, it works when you work it. I'm going to stop this share and go into the client portal. Dun, 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 dun. This is very exciting. This is the first time ever in my many years of doing these free and live events and master classes and all the good things. This is the first time I'm giving a sneak peek into my client portal. Let's see, let's go into share screen. Okay, so I would say, I don't know, it's probably like a good problem to have, but if there were ever a problem when working with me, it would be that there's too many resources, right? Like I give you so much that it's a little ridiculous. I've had so many people say, oh my gosh, like, wow. So that's why with me, it's also a customized journey. It's a choose your own adventure, where I'm always directing you what to focus on. So my main baby is my Shine Online Mastermind. So we have that. This is the main dashboard when you come into my client portal. I also have my PR Stars Inner Circle. That's a program that you can do on its own, or if you do Shine Online, it's included. It's a bonus. Same with PR Bootcamp. That's also a bonus when you come into Shine Online. You also get bonuses of my PR resource library when you're working with me. I have an online series from a summit that I did of all these professionals talking about how to get PR without a publicist. And you also get bonus workshops. And one that people really love, online presence, because that really teaches you about like more of the tech to have like a really good online presence. And I also have a diversity and inclusion, usually DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion workshop. And then like, that's just like the tip of the iceberg. Because when you get into each of these programs and modules and click in, you're going to see way more stuff. So you get my 6 pillars in Shine Online. Each of these pillars is loaded with video trainings and resources and templates and handouts and any type of support you might need for that module or that pillar. And then we also have, this is my famous green room, which is a whole catalog of all of the trainings, the handouts, the templates. That is a done for you thing that we do in my portal, is we give you media lists. So when it comes time to pitch the press, you actually have those contacts. So all of that stuff is located in this massive green room of resources, and you get all the class replays, and it's quite comprehensive. So just wanted to make sure anyone here who had been dancing with the thought or the idea of jumping in to work with me, that you got a chance to see like what's actually in there. And it's a heck of a lot of support and goodness. Okay, so we're going to continue in to, let's see, this final piece of the presentation. And you're going to get a chance for a couple more things before we go. Okay, so now we really have covered a lot on the alignment side, right? Like the vision, the blocks, right? Getting into alignment with that, having the right goal and being specific about it. So the third key that I really want you to know is that there's money in your message, and we really want you to get a plan together, right? To make sure that you're monetizing. So this is all about aligned visibility plus connection and communication is what equals the currency. And the goal without a plan is just a wish. So really creating the strategic plan, a customized strategic plan for yourself, is the integral piece that is probably missing in your business right now. There are 2 types of, when it comes to publicity and PR campaigns, there's 2 main types that I help my clients with. And generally you're doing evergreen year round and project focused as needed. So evergreen is where you're building up your profile building on a regular basis, weekly, monthly basis, which involves like pitching the media, wherever you want to be, whether it's getting more on stages or in the media, you're building this profile year round. And when you're pitching, you're typically tying into those monthly events, news, holidays, trends, things that are happening. Now, the other big piece is a project campaign. So we're typically doing the evergreen year round. And I mean, ideally, in an ideal world, you are doing the evergreen on a consistent basis forevermore in your business. And then there's project based. So when you have a book launch, when you have an event or a new program or a new offering, or you're speaking on a stage or whatever it is that you're doing, then you're going to amp up and do a campaign around that thing as well. So it typically is something that is more timed. It has a date, a street date, a launch date, a release date. So that's the second kind of campaign that you would do. So I will say that, like, you know, this is one big platform and statement that I'm out there making, and myth busting is really around why this is important now. And because most people have it backwards, they think I'll do this work once I'm known. I'm like, no, that's not how it works. This is the thing that gets you known. So then you have the cash flow, you have the clients, you have, you know, the awareness, the authority, all those things that take you to that next level. So really just thinking about, okay, if you look back at today's content, like, okay, where am I stopping myself, right? What is my vision? Where am I stopping myself? And what is my plan for moving forward? And if I don't take that action and have that plan and do the things, where am I going to be in another 6 months? I'm going to be right here, same place I am today. That's how it works, right? So we have to shift it up. We have to change something. And I always love to share my grandparents and their stories. And this is my Papa, who was my maternal grandfather. And he actually was a pilot in World War II for a B-17. This is his crew. And his story, it just inspires me so much because he did 28 missions over the Western Front. They were fighting Hitler, right? Trying to end and eradicate evil on the planet. And he so strongly believed in his purpose that for 28 times he got on a plane knowing he might not come back. And it was probably about a 50-50 chance because every plane that went down, that was 10 men. But he did it. He survived and lived to tell the tale. And so when the pandemic hit and that this was our last major global crisis in World War II, I looked to the courage of him and my other grandparents for what they did. He was 24 here. And I thought, oh my gosh, if they can go all in a global crisis, so can I. And that's what drove me to go all in on my online business, keep building my online community, do what I could to support them in a bigger way. That's when I launched my Shine Online Mastermind. I launched a high-end mastermind in May of 2020, right? So when the world was contracting, I decided, no, I'm going into expansion because I know I can help people and I know that it's possible to thrive during challenging circumstances and times. So this legacy of courage that my Papa brought through and my grandparents, this is when you're with me and my crew, like this is that legacy, right? And this is what it takes. It's fortitude, it's grit. Like being an entrepreneur is not for the faint of heart. So a little infusion and transmission of courage today. So what the next thing I'm going to invite you to is, really you're the perfect fit if you are an established professional and you're ready for that easier way to reach your audience. And you feel like you're currently spending too much time on things that aren't income generating or bringing in the revenue that you want. So this special gift is something we're doing for June right now, which is you can book in for a visibility breakthrough session. And this is not a sales call. This is a pure give where we chat about where you're at, where you want to be. And if you would like to hop on this call with me, and yes, this is me. I'm not farming these out to other people. These are me getting on the call with you. If you'd like my eyes on your business, you can go ahead and write "I'm ready" in the chat and I will reach out to you. If we're connected on, I think, Facebook Messenger, which a lot of us are, we'll reach out to you there. Or if we only have your email, look out for an email from us. But yeah, also, if we're not friends on Facebook, I highly recommend that you friend me on Facebook so that we can DM. So beautiful. I see some people saying I'm ready. So awesome, awesome. So yeah, if you'd like to connect, and generally it's meant for people if we haven't connected before, or if you're feeling like maybe we talked a while ago and I thought I was maybe ready and I wasn't, and now I really am ready, then I'm happy to hop on a call with you and reconnect again. And the other thing, I have a couple more things for you. We have some June specials for my media amplifier packages. Now these are done for you packages. So we will help actually place you. It's, when you work with me in my programs, it's done with you. I teach you to fish. I still have my PR agency and some services that we do for small business owners, and the media amplifier packages are some of those. So if you're like, I think I just would want to get a bump in the press and have Heather help me like with that, go ahead and write Amplify in the chat, and we'll reach out to you about our media amplifier packages. And let's see, I have two other quick things because we're here, we're live. It's so much easier just to ask you guys what you want when you're here. One is I do also curated masterminding parties. Those are also free, but it's invite only, whereas these classes are for everybody. But if you're interested and you're a purpose-driven entrepreneur, you want to connect, it's mostly women, but we have some men. You want to connect more, like authentic connection, giving, receiving, focusing on business growth. I do those once a month. So if you're interested in coming to our next VDP towards the end of June, go ahead and write VDP in the chat, and we'll make sure also that you get an invitation to VDP. That stands for virtual dinner party. It's really, I call it virtual masterminding party, and it's professionals coming together in a no training, no selling atmosphere, to purely get, it's a pure give from me, for my community, and a way to connect on a deeper level with our peers in the community. So go ahead if you want to come to the next one, write VDP. And Rochelle says authentic connections. Yes, yes, we love authentic connections. Okay, now the other thing I promised you all for coming today is that attendees, we're going to get a special bonus training, and I'm going to pull, I haven't decided which one yet, but I'm going to pull out one of the trainings. I have a lot of trainings. You're going to get one training out of my client portal. So if you would like the bonus training, go ahead and write bonus in the chat, or if you're in Facebook, down below in the comments, and we'll make sure we get you that video. And it's going to have to be a surprise because I'm still deciding on which video training I'm going to give you guys. So yes, feel free to share bonus in the chat if you would like the bonus training. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to stop the share, and I think we are looking good here. So I don't know if I missed questions from anyone. It's very possible. So feel free if you want to pop a question in the chat right now. We can take a couple more minutes if anyone has any questions that they feel like they wanted answered today that didn't get answered, or maybe it brought something up for you and you've really got this burning question that you're like wondering about. I would love to share anything else that's going to help you along with today's content. Kat says, do you have a book that outlines your process or programs? That is such a great question, Kat, because yes, I'm working on one, but it's not available yet. So that is in the works. I would say that there is a lot of information about my process and programs. I have even like a blog on my website. I have tons of content in the Shine Insiders group. We're often like putting videos and things in there. My Instagram, I do a lot of posts around the work that I do. So there's definitely a lot out there on my myriad of platforms. But yes, the book is coming soon. And I do have a chapter in one book that I co-authored called Business of Connections. And I do talk a little bit about my process in there on how I connected with some VIPs and celebrities for interviewing them when I launched my podcast. And that book is, again, The Business of Connections. It's on Amazon. And I have one chapter in there about that. So yes, yay for working on the book, right? Thank you. Thank you. Rochelle says your grandparents' story resonates and is riveting. Oh, yes. And that's another book that's in the works too, is a story inspired by my grandparents' love story. On my maternal side, they were together for actually both sets were together over 60 years. And my maternal grandparents met in kindergarten. So it's kind of an amazing love story. Kat is asking, for a total beginner of PR, what is the one thing you recommend to focus on first? Well, I think you're doing it, right? Like just being curious. Like, I think that the hardest thing with PR is that it's got this mystique around it, and people hear about it all the time, but they don't really know it's this mysterious thing. What is it? How does it work? So hopefully, coming to events like this where, an expert can kind of break it down a little more for you and help you understand what it is, why it's so important. And then I would say, sticking around, and I mean, of course, you can always, there's Google, right? Like there's so many ways to go. But if you resonate with someone like myself that's giving you the information, I would say start consuming all the content you can. We have a lot of free content on our website as well. Have you taken our quiz? Also, just to figure out what your archetype is. Yeah, so I would say take the quiz. I have a pitch template that's also free. You can get that at yourbestpitch.pro. And that will start getting you kind of some information on how to start pitching yourself to get into the media. And just take one bite of the apple at a time and keep showing up, keep absorbing, connect with other people who are on the journey as well. And you'll get there. Yeah. What's calling to you the most around the visibility piece? You can take yourself off mute if you want. Oops, I think you're still on mute. Cool. There you go.
Yeah, thank you. I think for me, I feel like I'm still putting my pieces together. So putting my program together, figuring out, I know my audience, but what is going to resonate the most with my audience? And I've been honing it down, and I'm finally just figured out my very specific one thing that I'm going to be focusing on. And then it's now, okay, how do I start to develop the talking points, and how does this resonate with my audience, and how do I get that out there? So that's really just where I'm at this point, along with just trying to,
I love that. Well, it sounds like you're on the right track. Yeah, they say they're riches in the niches, right? So getting known for something is great. So yeah, like having, when in my container, we're generally making sure people have their marketable offering they can monetize. And if you don't have that, we first need to make sure you have that. So we always do a business audit first to look at what's your business model. How are you, when someone comes into your world, like how are you getting them to become that client? Right. So that you're kind of in the positioning phase of like, how are you going to niche yourself, put yourself out there and make sure that you are unique. And the way you're talking about that, the verbiage, the messaging, all of that is part of the marketing and PR piece. So then the next step of that is like, really like, okay, where are you showing up and how do you want to be seen in the world? Where do you want to be seen? And where are you growing your profile? Where are you doing the profile building? Like, do you feel more called to like speak on stages, or do you prefer to like write your message?
I would prefer to speak. I'm fine doing public speaking, speaking on video. I'd really like to have a strong YouTube channel because it's a search engine, and the niche that I'm focused on, there's a lot of people who search for answers for what I'll be offering. And so I want it to be accessible in that way. But I would also love to open the conversation on a more broad scale. It's around adoption and reunion. And it's an interesting topic for those that are not adopted, but it's a very, very important topic for those that are.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, it sounds like you know your content very well. And so those are the two primary ways that from a PR standpoint, we're generally working with you on is like, what is your editorial path and plan and what kind of media are you going to be getting into? And then also there's the speaking opportunity path. And that doesn't work for everybody. Not everyone wants to speak their message. Some people feel like, yeah, I just like to write. But if you're called to the speaking, then we have something we call we have speaking opportunities, and we have something called a speaking calendar. So those are things that it takes a bit of a plan to put together. And once you have a plan, then it's a lot easier to get the results. So yeah, I think
That's where I am right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Starting to create the plan.
Exactly. Well, you're in the right place. So I see you also wanted to connect. So we'll reach out and we'll get you on a call and we can go in a little deeper. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. Let's see. Any other thoughts or questions? Oh yeah, you're right. I put a typo in there. It's yourbestpitch.pro. Yes. Yep. Thank you for clarifying. Yeah. And we have, the virtual dinner party that'll be coming up at the end of the month. And if you're in our community or on our list or in the Shine Insiders group, you'll hear about other classes like this that are coming up. I think, well, the replay, as we said, we're live streaming today. So that will be in the Facebook group. And I know a lot of you are on camera today. So sometimes if we have a lot of people show up on camera, we'll do things like breakouts and, play with different things. But hopefully you found a lot of value in today's presentation, and I see some yes, nodding heads, yes. And, and I look forward to connecting with those of you who wanted to connect, and otherwise we will see you. We will see you very soon. And yeah, stay tuned. We'll be announcing our next class. You'll hear from us either probably in the DMs or on email, and hopefully we'll see you again. All right, I see some thank yous coming through. You are very welcome, and feel free to take yourselves off mute as we say goodbye and make some noise. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. This is great, Heather.
So great.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.